Greenland, 2024. A research plane crosses 1,000 miles of empty ice. Nothing below but white. Then, the radar screen flickers. There is something down there, something buried deep in the ice sheet. Walls. Corridors. A grid, too straight to be natural. A city. The men who built it were told a simple thing. The ice will hide this forever. No one will ever find it. They were wrong. And what they left frozen down there was never meant to see daylight again. The year is 1959. The Cold War is at its coldest, and the United States Army does something no one has ever done. It builds a city, not on the ice, inside it. In the north of Greenland, engineers cut long trenches into the frozen sheet, roof them with steel arches, and let the snow seal them shut. 21 tunnels, 2 miles of corridors, buried under the surface. They call it Camp Century, and for the men stationed there, it is a world of its own. There is a mess hall, a theatre, a hospital, a library, a chapel, carved into the ice. Room for 200 soldiers to live and work in a place where the wind outside can freeze a man in minutes. And in the heart of the base sits the strangest thing of all, a nuclear reactor. The PM-2A, a portable atomic power plant, shipped in pieces small enough to fit a cargo plane, assembled deep inside the glacier. It needs about 44 pounds of uranium to do the work of 1 million gallons of fuel. It is the first of its kind on Earth, a living, humming machine of the atomic age, running quietly under 1,000 feet of ice. And the world is told all about it. Camp Century is no secret. It is a showpiece. The army invites journalists. Magazines run glowing features. A Boy Scout even spends time at the base and writes home about it. The message is clean and simple. This is science. A bold experiment in Arctic living. A demonstration that America can build, power, and survive anywhere on the planet, even beneath the polar ice. The Danish government owns Greenland, and Denmark has a firm rule: no nuclear weapons on its soil. So the Army's request is modest: a research station, ice studies, cold weather testing. Denmark says yes. The soldiers on the base believe it too. Most of them are simply told they are running a subway under the ice, a strange, cold, important job in the middle of nowhere. Everything is exactly what it looks like, a peaceful outpost of science at the top of the world. Except it isn't. Camp Century was never really about science. It was a cover. Behind it sat a plan so secret that even the soldiers living inside it did not know its name: Project Iceworm. The idea was this: those 2 miles of tunnels were meant to be the seed of something almost unimaginable. A hidden network of tunnels stretching across the Greenland ice sheet, 52,000 square miles, 3 times the size of Denmark itself, and running through them, on rails, in the freezing dark, up to 600 nuclear missiles, constantly moving, constantly hidden, their locations shuffled through the ice, so the Soviet Union could never map them, never target them, never take them all out in a single strike. From under the pole, these missiles could reach the heart of the USSR. It was, on paper, one of the most ambitious weapon systems ever conceived, an entire underground missile empire, invisible beneath the snow. And here is the part that matters most. Denmark, which owned this land, which had banned nuclear weapons, was never told. The country was hosting 600 warheads it did not know existed, on its own sovereign soil. The peaceful research station was a doorway to a first-strike arsenal, and the world would not learn the truth for more than 30 years. So why did it fail? Why aren't there 600 missiles under Greenland today? Because the planners forgot one thing. The ice is not a floor. It is not solid ground. A glacier is alive. It slides. It flows. It bends. And once the tunnels were cut, the ice began to close in on them. Soldiers, with electric chainsaws walked the corridors like sculptors, shaving back the walls as the glacier pressed inward, week after week. The measurements came back, and they were brutal. The tunnels were deforming so fast that missile rails would buckle, warheads could tip. The corridors that were meant to hide the arsenal would crush it in a couple of years. Even the reactor at the center of the base was at risk as the ice shifted around its pipes. The verdict was final. You cannot build a fortress inside a moving glacier. Iceworm was quietly cancelled. The reactor was pulled out. And by 1966 or 67, the records don't fully agree. Camp Century was abandoned. The men walked away, and they made one last assumption, the one that would haunt everything. They assumed the ice would swallow the whole thing forever. When they left, they didn't take much with them. Only the core of the reactor was hauled out. Everything else stayed. The buildings, the railways, around 200,000 litres of diesel fuel, 24 million litres of wastewater and sewage poured into open pits in the ice, toxic chemicals called PCBs, and the radioactive coolant from the nuclear reactor's heart left in a sump beneath the snow. It didn't matter, they thought. Snow falls on northern Greenland every year, layer after layer, forever. Camp Century would sink deeper and deeper, sealed like a tomb, its secrets and its poison locked in ice for eternity. For decades, that held. The camp vanished from the surface. The truth stayed buried too, until 1996, when the documents were finally declassified, and 1997, when a Danish report laid the whole plan bare to the public. Project Iceworm was real. And then came the twist no one planned for. Here is the irony. Camp Century's scientists drilled the first deep cores into the Greenland ice, cores that became the foundation of how we understand our climate today. And that same science now delivers the verdict on their secret. The Arctic is warming faster than almost anywhere on Earth. In 2016, a team of scientists ran the numbers. The ice above Camp Century may stop growing and start melting by around the year 2090. When it does, the tomb opens. The diesel, the sewage, the chemicals, the radioactive water, no longer locked away, but free to flow toward the sea. And to be clear, the scientists say the radiation is the smaller danger here. The bigger threat is the diesel and the toxic PCBs. But the point stands. The men who built this place were certain the ice would keep their secret forever. Instead, the planet itself is slowly handing it back. A cover-up with an expiration date. And now 3 nations, the United States, Denmark, and Greenland, are left arguing over a single question. When the ice gives up what America hid inside it, who is going to clean it up? Camp Century was sold to the world as a city of science. It was built as a hiding place for 600 nuclear weapons, kept secret even from the country that owned the ground. They trusted the ice to bury the truth. The ice is letting go. This has been Nightfall History. Some things were never meant to be found. We find them anyway. Subscribe. The next case is already waiting in the dark.